Now, our first guest of this evening is a man who's also in electoral battle in the United States. Nasser Beydoun is a candidate for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. He's an author and a civil rights advocate. Please welcome Nasser Beydoun, hopefully soon a U.S. Senator. Nasser, great to see you. I have many friends in Michigan, particularly in Dearborn, where I've spoken many times. I'm going to assume that they're part of your constituency, and many of them are watching the show live, and many more will after the show. Introduce yourself, please, if you will. Tell us the basis of your campaign and what your prospects are.
Sure. Thank you, George. First of all, I'm honored to be on your show. I've been a fan of yours since I watched you testify before the Senate in 2013. And your principal positions are something that I've always strived for. In my run for politics in this country, I kind of imitate your politics in your stance because you stand with the truth.
Marvelous.
Like you, my name is Nasser Beydoun.
Thank you.
My name is Nasser Beydoun. I am seeking Michigan's open U.S. Senate seat. My opponent, and I'm running on the Democratic platform, but you know, like you said earlier, I like your metaphor better than mine. I say our two political parties are both corrupt and they're two sides of the same coin. But I'm going to start using your analogy, two cheeks of the same ass. I kind of like that. And I am from Dearborn. I'm based in Dearborn. I've lived most of my life in Michigan. I grew up here, was educated here, raised my kids here. And now I'm fighting basically AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby is domination of our politics, our legislative process, our Congress. I say that before we end the occupation in Palestine, we have to end the occupation of Congress. These corrupt politicians have sold America's sovereignty to Tel Aviv and the Israeli government. You go to Congress today, you would think that you are in the Israeli Knesset with all the Israeli flags out there. So it's time that we take back our government. It's time we end the corruption that exists. We have one of the most corrupt political processes in the world. The only difference between us and the third world is we call our corruption campaign finance laws. In America today, we basically legalized bribery to politicians. And that is why we see that pro-Israel lobby and AIPAC being able to dominate and the military-industrial complex being able to dominate what's happening in our government today. And for America to be able to survive, we need to change course. You know, it's ironic that a country like the United States, as great as we are, with 350 million people, that, you know, a good political system should allow the cream to rise to the top. But ours is such a cesspool that we only get the crap rising to the top. And both candidates running for US office today, for the presidency of the United States, the most powerful position in the world. So it's time that America regains its humanity, its morality, and we elect people who are going to vote their conscience and not the money.
I'm glad you put it that way, and you're quite a master at the metaphor yourself, I may say. I will steal your metaphor of cream versus crap. It's a very piquant way of describing what the rest of the world can see if their eyes are open. And I'm glad that you called it bribery. It's not campaign contribution. It's not donations. It is pure bribery. When I follow AIPAC Tracker, Nasser, which I commend to everyone, AIPAC Tracker, and I see the pictures and names of the people who have received hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Israel lobby, in many cases millions of dollars, in Joe Biden's case $11 million, we have to call this what it is. This is sheer bribery. These people are being paid to show more loyalty to Israel than to their own constituents. And the other thing I'll observe, Nasser, when I look at their names, I realize that I, as a political junkie, have never heard of them before. They are nobodies. And yet there's somebody worth paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribery to for the Israel lobby. It's really come to something, hasn't it?
It is, and it's come to, basically, we see what's happening in Gaza today. We see that here in America, when we ask our government for affordable health care, good education, a good public education, a good infrastructure, they tell us we don't have money. But the only bipartisan support that we can get in the United States Congress is sending money to Israel and sending money to the Ukraine. It's crazy how we can't agree on, Democrats and Republicans cannot agree on anything except those two items.
And they're the biggest tickets available. They are vastly profitable for the military-industrial complex that President Eisenhower warned us about back in the 1950s, immensely profitable for the political clique around Zelensky, the political clique around Netanyahu. Netanyahu's just been invited, to make your point, he's just been invited to address both houses of Congress, even though there's a warrant out for his arrest from the International Criminal Court, and his country is on trial for genocide in front of the International Court of Justice. But he'll get maybe 20 or more standing ovations from your political class, when if he landed in France, he would have to be arrested.
Well, the irony is the most powerful man in America today, in American politics, is not Joe Biden, it's not Donald Trump, it's Benjamin Netanyahu. Because the pro-Israel lobby has total domination of the US Congress. When 70% of the American people are calling for a ceasefire, and yet only 4% of Congress dare mention the word ceasefire, and those that do mention ceasefire, AIPAC has already said that we are going to go after them. We are watching a shit show here in the United States when it comes to the politics. And my hope and my message is that the average American wakes up and understands what's really happening. If we don't, like you said, Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex. We have to constantly create an enemy. The United States, and you mentioned earlier that, war criminals, we should have tried Dick Cheney and all his neocons as war criminals when they went into Iraq. It cost this country trillions of dollars, millions of lives, based on a lie. Then we decided to go into Afghanistan. Again, we spent trillions of dollars and lost thousands of American lives and hundreds of thousands of Afghani lives. And what did we get? We said we were going in to remove the Taliban. The Taliban are now controlling Afghanistan. And not only that, they have American infrastructure that we built and paid for them to use. Our foreign policy sucks as a nation. We need to end the hypocrisy We have overthrown more democracies and instilled more dictators, yet we continue to say that we are this beacon of democracy and that we value our Constitution. If we value our Constitution and if we value democracy, we would not fund a genocide in Gaza. We would not supply the weapons that are killing the women and children in Gaza. This is America's genocide as much as it is Israel's genocide.
Well, you've got my vote already, Nasser. Let me ask you finally, if I may, who are the Israel fanatics in America going to back in November? Zion Don or Genocide Joe? How are the fanatic evangelicals going to vote? They're facing the choice between the hypocrite Biden, who claims to be a Roman Catholic, but actually opposes virtually every part of church doctrine, or the God-fearing Donald Trump, who pays hush money to hookers and, well, let's just say, would not pass many morality tests on any aspect of his life and character. What a choice for the supporters of Israel. What a choice for the supporters of family values. What are they going to do?
Well, I can tell you this. I think this election is lost regardless of whoever wins as the president of the United States. For myself, the Arab American community, the Muslim community, the pro-peace activists, the pro-Palestinian activists, our job is to look at the future and how we can, in 4 years, be able to find candidates and fight the battle against the pro-Israel lobby. Because if we don't do that, you're absolutely right. We don't know if Biden's going to take us into war, if he's elected, or Trump's going to take us into war. We don't know if, Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu have been goading the U.S. to attack Iran. And we saw that we almost went to a full-scale war with Iran recently. We are on the cusp of World War III. We're actually in it right now. The question is, what mistake is it going to take that Russia, China, the United States, Europe, all join the battle? They already joined it once. So, I'm not, there's an old American Indian saying that says, we don't inherit this world from our parents, we borrow it from our children. And I'm afraid what we're leaving our children is something of a mess. We've lost our humanity, we've lost our dignity, we've lost our morality. And when we sit there and watch these babies in Gaza being pulled out of the rubble, and these mothers and these entire families, and people can still, we have congressmen and senators who are basically advocating drop a nuclear bomb on them. We've got Nikki Haley, the idiot, going to and signing bonds with finish them on it. What kind of people are these that are supposed to be running this country? When are we going to say enough is enough? And you don't stand for me, you don't represent me, and I loathe what you stand for.
She even drew a heart on the bomb. I don't know if you saw that. She drew a heart on a bomb, wrote the words, finish them, on a bomb that was about to fall on children in Gaza or on Lebanon. What kind of a person can she be? I'll tell you, a former high-ranking official of the United States and someone that Donald Trump is going to put in his administration. That's who she is.
And then he's also talking about Tom Cotton might be his vice president, who was calling student demonstrators little Gazas on U.S. campuses. I'm worried. I am worried, and that's why I am running for the U.S. Senate, and I'm running on a platform that speaks the truth to power, George. And I don't care. They are trying to remove me from the ballot on a technicality, even though I am the first Muslim ever to get on a U.S. ballot, U.S. Democratic senatorial ballot in the history of the United States. We had 24,000 people sign our petition to get me on the ballot, and they're trying to kick us off because of a P.O. box. That's the democracy that we live in today, where people are, our political parties in the United States act like communist politburos of the 50s and 60s. And they tell you, this is your candidate, this is who you're going to vote for. And we don't believe in elections. We don't believe in debate. We don't believe in the process. This is the oligarchy that we have in America today.
Well, many of your constituents are of Lebanese extraction. I often joke that Dearborn was the only place in the whole world I ever met police officers that were big supporters of Syed Hassan Nasrallah and the Lebanese resistance. And I was very glad they were looking after me. But many of your people are of Lebanese extraction. Lebanon and Israel may very well be in all-out war circa 2006, all-out war by the morning.
Well, my parents come from Bint Jbeil, and I know you're very familiar with it in South Lebanon. So I'm very familiar with what's happening in South Lebanon. And we have a saying, the Arabs claim to have won every war they lost, but they claim to have lost the only war they won, which was 2006. So I think that Israel, we know that Lebanon, if they go to war, there's going to be mass destruction in Lebanon. But Israel also knows that if they go to war, there's going to be mass destruction in Israel. Israel has a formula. If you remember, people forget history, but I'm a history buff. When Israel occupied South Lebanon in 1982, and that is one of the main reasons that Hezbollah was created, to fight Israel's occupation. When they got to a ratio of 10 Lebanese to 1 Israeli killed, Israel withdrew from South Lebanon. Israel is okay with killing 1,000 Lebanese or 10,000 Lebanese or Palestinians to every 1 Israeli. But when their ratio gets closer, then they don't know what to do. What's happening in Gaza today for Hamas to be able to sustain this for almost 8 months is unprecedented in Israel's history. The Arabs are Israel's used to wars with Arabs that last a couple of days, 4 or 5 days, 6 days, and then they give in. But this isn't the new Middle East. So Israel has to decide, do I want to try and live in peace and give the Palestinians their legitimate aspiration? Or do I watch my enemies continue to grow and get stronger? And even the United States is going to come to a day that can't save Israel.
This is a momentous moment for me, Nasser, because you just quoted rather a wise saying back at me that I actually invented. I told the Prime Minister, Signora, in Beirut, I said to him, the Arabs claim to have won every war that they lost, And now you're claiming that you lost the only war that you won. And the next senator for Michigan has just quoted it back at me. A momentous arrival of a rather nice boomerang. Thank you very much indeed. It's Nasser for Michigan, for me. Everyone, get right behind him. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the mother of all talk shows.